New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And hello again, dear ones. Rev BRZ over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is New Thought Today, the program that comes to you every Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Mountain Time here on the New Thought Media Network. We're so grateful that you're with us. And I'm going to invite you to grab a cup of tea or coffee or whatever it may be, settle in, and get ready as Rev Z and I explore a religious science perspective of an integral approach to new thought, whatever that means. So
mouthful. It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. Z, I want to say, last week we had Dr. Kenn Gordon here, past spiritual leader of the Centers for Spiritual Living, and wow, what a great conversation we were able to have with Dr. Kenn last week.
Yeah, it was powerful. And I would advise, if you haven't seen it, to the listening audience, go and grab that one. It was real juicy and had a lot of stuff in it. And it was fun. It was fun to have that, that open dialogue and conversation about new thought living, if you will. How do we begin to, or continue, depends on where we're starting from, to apply these principles and move toward these visions of a world that works for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And, folks, that's what we're all about. And that's what we're going to dive into today in many ways, is how do we open up this conversation that is the New Thought philosophy? How do we bring this New Thought philosophy into the world in a greater way than ever before?
Yes.
There are a lot of people out there that have never heard of the term New Thought and yet are living by the principles of New Thought in many, many ways. And what we'd like to do is, number one, we want to hear from you. Now, we say this pretty much every week when we're on here, right? We want to hear from you. We've got an email, ministertalk@ntmedia.org. That's ministertalk@ntmedia.org. And we want to hear from you. Send us an email and let us know, what is it you would like to have us explore? Where would you like us to take this program? Because what Z and I are committed to, and we were discussing this before today's show, we want to bring you the most relevant stories, experiences, explorations, sharing around how new thought is being put into practice, how it's being used in the world, in people's everyday lives, and oftentimes without them knowing. G, you want to share a little more on that?
Yeah, I think I like where we're going with this, because one of the two things that Ernest Holmes said that I really, really love, and that is, some of you've heard it before, I look forward to the day that religion and science walk hand in hand. And the other one is, don't take my word for it that these principles work. Go try them and practice them in the laboratory of your own life, and then you will see that they work. And so what we're looking at now is just that. We have a myriad of teachers and things like that we can books, but now we want to go beyond that and put it into practice, especially now. And so one book that I found that really begins to set a framework is a book called 7 Seeds for a New Society. 7 Seeds for a New Society. And strangely enough, the mantra that we have, if you will, for science of mind, religious science, a world that works for everyone, I think we might have co-opted a little bit or joined the bandwagon with him, because he has a book. I'll just hold it up here, if you can see that, Creating a World That Works for All. And I think that was published back in 1999. Mm-hmm. So even back then, and I'm not sure if he's New Thought or not, by his name, he seems to be a Muslim, or was a Muslim or practiced some Muslim tenets. And he had this idea of how do we create, in a lot of ways, a sustainable society, and that allows everyone to reach their potential. Because that's at the underlying meaning of a world that works for everyone. I think that's the bottom line. The bottom line is, how do we create an environment, a world, a family, a community, pick where you are in that spectrum, so that everyone in there can reach their potential.
Yeah, absolutely. We put a link in the show notes for you there, folks, in the comments of today's show. And if you're familiar with Sharif Abdullah Gray, and you may have read the book that I think that Z's referring to as well, Creating a World That Works for All, both of these are available on the website. This is actually on my top 11 list of books that must be read, that are relevant to what it is, exactly what you're saying, right? This idea of creating a world that works for everyone. So these are the types of things we want to be talking about, folks. We want to be covering the people, maybe, and I know there are those of you out there that know of organizations or a community or a project that somebody's doing, or an individual who's got a foundation and a book that we don't know about, but that is doing the good work of living this spiritual life. I was also sharing with Z in one of my earlier shows today, I used a quote by Brother David Stendal Rast, and he said, spirituality is belonging to something greater than yourself. And what better thing to belong to than a group of people that is striving, working, committed to creating a world that works for everyone.
Yeah.
What spirituality is, just it's anything we want it to be, as long as we're believing in something greater that we're a part of, that we're serving.
Well, and there's a point that Abdullah makes in the book, where we hear the concept, and I've used it myself, and when I read this, I had to step back and think. We hear this term or concept about spirit evolving, right? Mm-hmm. And he made the point that spirit doesn't need to evolve, because spirit, God, the thing itself, is all there is. And so what we're really talking about when we're talking about the evolution is the evolution of the container that spirit has put itself in. And so it's kind of like that verse in the Bible where it says you don't put new wine in old skins, because that old skin container can't contain this powerful spirit. So in my mind, what that's saying in terms of the individual, collective, and global level, we have to begin to see how we can expand to contain more of the spirit, so that more of the spirit gets expressed. It's not about it evolving, it's the expression of that spirit. And that's what New Thought is about. That's what religious science and science of mind is all about, is how do we begin to exemplify these principles in a greater way, in a new way, in a more challenging way that impels us to get involved.
Yeah. Exactly. It's interesting because I have to laugh at myself a little bit. For those of you that know me, my personal email, and the email I've been using predominantly for going on the last 10, 15, 12, something like that years, is Spirit Evolving. That was my original website, the original domain name that I picked out years and way back. This was probably in like 2004. I picked up that domain or something, Spirit Evolving. And at that point, it was very appropriate for who I was, what I was becoming, and well before you and I met. And and I'm absolutely with you, right? I agree. My humanness has evolved to be a greater container, to be able to more, I would say clearly, more fluidly express the divine and the oneness that is life. And it's probably no And it's not lost on me that there's really nothing on that site anymore either. It just forwards to somewhere else now. If you go to spiritevolving.com, it's going to take you somewhere else. So
yeah, it has evolved.
It evolved itself right into something different. So
yeah.
And folks, we're in so many places where this happens. I think of any aspect of life right now, work, relationships, anything you can think of, education, food service, entertainment, every aspect of our lives is up for examination, is being, in many ways, many of these industries are being pulled apart to see, to give us a glimpse of what's necessary, I believe, into how we activate all this and moving forward.
Yeah. And I think, one point that Sharif brings out in his book is this whole concept, which is not a new concept, the idea of sustainability. Right. The model that the current environment that we find ourselves in and what we've experienced over the last year has indicated quite clearly that the system, the processes, and the things that we have in place as they are not sustainable.
Right.
And part of the reason for a sustainable model, part of the linchpin, I believe, of a sustainable model is that you don't use everything up, right? And you don't discount anything because all things have value. And again, it's like that saying of, taking Joseph from the Bible, and he had to dream about, look, we need to put some of this food in the storehouse because we're going to have some lean times. And if you didn't put anything in the storehouse and the lean times came for sustainability, there's a problem. And so right now we're headed towards a problem, if you will. I'll say it like that. So because I think we still have some time to look at the sustainable model, look at a way of how do we value and take care of the resources, whether they're something out of the ground or a human body itself or an institution. But we have to begin to think about sustainability and intercooperative living and working and resolving issues, or else we will continue to go down a spiral that is not comfortable.
Yeah. As you were sharing, I had this image. It's, you're driving along an icy road late at night and you're halfway, the "oh" is out of your mouth and you're not really sure what's coming next.
Yes.
Is the next word, "oh, cool. I got through it," right? Or not. And we are at that point. So this is humanity's opportunity to really make a choice.
Yeah.
Do we recognize, embrace, embody, and support our oneness? Or do we continue down a track of me, mine, get out of the way, I got to get mine, I got to...
Yeah.
I don't know what the odds are.
Well, there's this phrase that Sharif has in the book. I want to just put it out there. He says, if we cultivate integrity, generosity, compassion, and relationship the way we cultivate the love of money and the suspicion of others, we will live in a profoundly different world.
Oh, repeat that. Say the first part again. Damn, that was
good. If we cultivate integrity, generosity, compassion, and relationships the way we cultivate the love of money and the suspicion of others, we will live in a profoundly different world.
Right. And this is the key to New Thought, right? Trusting in the one, believing in the oneness, not getting trapped into the human conditions of money and competition and might makes right and better than and all those judgments that we love to throw around about ourselves and each other. And coming into that place that really I only berate myself that I still in some way believe that I am separate and a unique entity of one, that I still berate myself for not remembering to rely on the oneness that is God's life, that is the allness in every turn.
Right.
Luckily, what I believe and what I've found in this is the longer you stick around in this philosophy, the longer you keep moving forward, keep practicing, keep going, that it does open up to the demonstration happens before there's even the opportunity to doubt.
Yeah.
The demonstration to a desire happens even before there is the opportunity to doubt that we have the ability, or that we're enough, or that there is enough, or whatever it is. I want to share another quote here, because I'm kind of liking how this works. The quotes I used in my morning talk are coming back around today. They've been living, right? But this is Nathaniel Brandon. If my aim is to prove I am enough, the project goes on to infinity, because the battle was already lost on the day I conceded the issue was debatable.
Wow.
If my aim is to prove that we have enough money, that there isn't, right, that money, you can substitute anything you want into that quote. The minute that I believe my relationship is broken, then I have conceded the issue, because I even thought that it was possible for it to be broken. Your relationships can't be broken. The relationships that you are in right now are absolutely vital, or you wouldn't be in them. And what we hear Sharif telling us, right, is that we got to nurture those relationships. Whatever it is that's going on in our lives right now, we've got to nurture that.
Yeah. It's the Ernest Holmes soil seed plant model, right? Everything begins in the idea or in the formation of a seed, and that seed could be a physical seed or it could be an idea. It's something that has the spark of life in it, that once it's cultivated or put in the right environment, the container that it's in expands, and it allows more spirit to be expressed. You think of a seed. The seed is in one little container. Let's take a mustard seed. That's a real small container, right? Mm-hmm. But when you put that mustard seed in the ground, something that you can hardly see with your naked eye, depending on, how your eyesight is. But when you put it in the ground, the spirit within it starts to reveal itself.
Right.
And the container, that little small seed, surrenders to that moment, and it expands the container, and it comes from a seed to a mustard tree or a mustard bush. And then you see the eternality of life, as we all know, because it has seeds, and then you create, not in addition to the mustard that we put on our sandwiches, it creates seeds to make more mustard trees.
Right. We are that seed. There's never a question. And that's the thing, right? I know I do, at least. So if I'm doing it, I'm sure other people are doing it. And we lose sight of just how powerful and truly magnificent it is to be able to instantly demonstrate. Right. To say, this is the experience I believe, and witness it manifesting. Whether it's money or relationships or community or a project. Do we make all this stuff too hard sometimes, Z?
Yeah, I think so. Because as you were saying that, I was thinking about it, and I don't know where I heard it, but if we take that up to the community level, right? I heard someone make this comparison, talking about how communities can operate in this new thought way, if you will. It made a comparison between a community of locusts and a community of bees. A community of locusts are not dealing with a sustainability model, right? They're dealing with a model of everything in sight is about to get eaten.
Consume everything.
Consume everything, right? And after they go through, their belly is full or whatever, but pretty soon after that, they pass away because there's nothing else left, right?
Right.
But then when you look at the community of bees, the bees have a whole different model. It's surrounding a central idea, the queen bee, right? And their thing is, let's get some honey. Let's prepare for next time. Let's make some preparations. We want this to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. And that's how they go about life. And so you got two different natural communities. Locusts, they say locusts come every so many years because they eat, they die, and nobody's there to procreate, right? So they got to wait for all the lava that's been buried somewhere. But the bees, they're here all the time. They keep coming. And that's how we want to, I think, from a new thought perspective, begin to create families and communities and societies and businesses and government that has this sustainability model built into it. Hmm. So that we look for longevity.
And where there are bees, there are wildflowers.
Yes.
Right. And the bee, and where there are wildflowers, there are mountain meadows, and where there are mountain meadows, there are forests, and where there are forests, there are aspen trees. And anybody that knows me knows my love of aspen trees. I can always take it back to aspen trees. But that's what we've got to keep reminding ourselves and remembering, right? Is okay, this works here, and this is one layer, one aspect, one piece of the puzzle. How do we make sure we're creating and building structures and systems and societies and communities, and with the indigenous people's concept of the 7 generations? Yes. We were talking about this beforehand, before the show today, right? As well. I tell you, folks, Zia and I, we talk about all kinds of stuff all week long. So, but right before the show, we're talking about the Native American concept, and I'm sure this is probably is inherent within other indigenous cultures across the planet. How do we ensure that the decisions we are making today positively affect the 7 generations forward, and do the healing of 7? Anytime we do our own healing, it's 7 generations back, 7 generations forward, that healing's happening. So how do we make sure that we are giving everything we can so the next 7 generations can take this even further?
Yes. Yeah. And that, and you were talking about the forest, and I just think about that relationship between plants and humans, right? Plants take in sun, chlorophyll, and they give off a poison to them, oxygen. We take in the poison that they give out of oxygen, and we can't live without it. And then we give off the poison to us, carbon dioxide, and it says, "Oh yeah, I need some of that." And it grabs. So right there, just in 2 entities between humans and plants, at that very simple level, there is an integral relationship that's there, that if we can't sustain the right balance of that, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah. Very, very true. Well, hey, folks, we're going to take a quick moment, and we're going to let you learn just a little something more about one of our sponsors. And actually, this wonderful sponsor is ourselves. Here at the New Thought Media Network, in the month of March, we're doing something really special and really fun. One of our show hosts, Reverend Michelle Wadley, also known as Rev Jersey Girl, is presenting a 2-part workshop on Saturday, March 13th and March 20th. It's 2 hours per session, 2 sessions back to back on Saturdays. And it's all about using the mind to create habits that transform our lives. This is a great opportunity to study with Reverend Michelle. She is just one heck of an amazing teacher. It's always a great time to be in a class with her. And this is not just something you can purchase. This is a fundraiser. It's a fundraiser for New Thought Media Network. Financial investment's $45, and all of that is going to go to support the launch of our new media and vision video platform. And I thought, rather than me trying to explain all of this, we'd let Reverend Michelle explain the program in just another 40 seconds. So enjoy this.
Your mind and your consciousness is either your greatest friend and a tool that you have sharpened and learned how to use on your behalf, or it is a detriment because you haven't learned to think in a disciplined manner. The class that I'm about to teach is to help you develop the tools of a disciplined mind and to reap the benefits of how to refine that tool and use it on your behalf. I am so glad you're investigating this class, and I look forward to you participating in this 2-week workshop to jumpstart a life of being more conscious, more awake, and having a mind as a sharp tool. I will see you soon. Signing off. Rev Jersey Girl.
And again, folks, we are super excited for this class. I've set aside time on my schedule. I know Laura's going to be there with us. Lots of fun. If you wanted more information, just head over to the website, ntmedia.org, and then /mind10, mind10, and that'll get you to the landing page and the registration page to learn a little bit more about that class. So, all right, Z, so here we are. It really is a new day, 2021. There's a new vision emerging, I believe.
Yeah.
It goes beyond this statement we've been using for so long of a world that works for everyone. I believe it encompasses that, and there's even more coming beyond that. What do you see as the most imperative thing that New Thought, as a movement, as a society of people, what can we do in this day?
I think one of the key things is we have to begin to form sustainable relationships, because there's nothing on this planet that lives in isolation. Nothing. It is always in relationship to something else. Even our language. You know, there's a relationship between up and down, because if there was no down to the up part of that relationship, up would have absolutely no meaning at all. Up is only understood because you understand what we've labeled down. And so these relationships are integral for us to navigate the world, to understand ourselves, and to create this world that works for everyone. And it has to happen at all levels. And today I heard it at a corporate level, which I thought was really good and interesting. Merck, the makers of the Moderna virus vaccine for the virus, are partnering, if you will, or assisting relationship with Johnson & Johnson to help them make their vaccine, because they don't have the capacity. Now, I don't know what kind of arrangements have been made to do that, whether it's monetary or gratis or you pay me back later or what. But just think about that. 10 years ago, that never would have happened, of a company helping a competitor to make a product that will compete against theirs. That's a brand new day. That's a brand new day.
That is in absolute direct competition, right? So we're eliminating, you and I have talked about this numerous times before, right? Eliminating that sense of competition.
Right.
Because yes, even on the major corporate level, things have to change. Another thing we want to introduce you to today, and I think it fits really well, and just what we're just talking about, this is one of the quotes that captured me about this book. When I first, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. When I first picked up this book, I was like, okay, another business book by another rich white guy that made it good in business. Like, I'm not 100%, I wasn't 100% sold on the story when I picked up the book. However, it came very highly recommended, and it's got a great title. And on page 12, he writes, true success is measured by the way we touch the lives of people. True success is measured by the way we touch the lives of people. So if you're not familiar with that line, the book is Everybody Matters. It's by Rob Chapman and Raj Sisodia. Rob, you may not know his name, you may not know the company. He's the CEO of Barry Waymiller for quite a long time, and it's a fabulous book, and it's a great story. And everywhere I went in this experience, in this expose, this sharing, I found more and more places where it was just so obvious. Here is new thought. Yeah. This man may not know it. He may. He's not trying to teach a spiritual philosophy. He's not trying to teach a philosophy at all. What he's sharing is his experience of living these principles in the business world. And he actually says the key pillars are establishing a shared long-term vision, fostering a people-centric culture, developing leaders from within, and sending people home fulfilled. And in the end, it is truly about caring for every precious human being whose life we touch. It is about including everybody, not just the fortunate few or the exceptionally talented. It is about living with an abundance mindset, an abundance of patience, love, hope, and opportunity. Everyone wants to contribute. Trust them. Leaders are everywhere. Now, this is a business book, folks. That sounds like Holmes and Hornaday and Parker and Beckwith and Roger Teal, all the great. It sounds like anyone that I've known from this movement could have written those words.
Yeah, and that's powerful because I think the one thing that rings true, and I'm sure everyone can identify with this at some point. If you've ever been in a group of people and found yourself in some type of crises, everyone in that group rose to the occasion, and everyone took a different part and was happy to take it, didn't get mad at the other person who took that other part, because the motivating factor, here's the punchline, was the shared vision of getting out of that situation, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the individual. It was a shared vision. We are in the situation that we need to get out of. Everybody assume your role. And we know, and it kind of emerged. No one had to tell you. It emerged, and everyone yielded to that because they understood it at an integral level, and crisis was avoided, or situation was gotten over.
Yeah,
and that's where we are.
It wants this conversation wants me to go back and dig into Viktor Frankl's work, and because I'm sure I can just feel it. This same thread, right, it had to have been in the concentration camps, a shared vision to overcome, to persevere.
Yeah.
Because the percentage of people that survived and lived through it is tragically small compared to the numbers that went in there, right? So there had to be that. And I'm going to go reread his book now. I'm going to go dig that out and start looking through it, because and if I remember correct, there's another one jumping into my head. Without a shared vision, the people shall perish.
Yes.
Wherever that, somebody let me know in the comments. Go. Is that the Bible? Okay.
Yes, the Bible.
Yeah. See, I know more of the Bible than I know, and I know that I know that I don't know where any of it really comes from.
and if you look at the societal problems that we're facing right now in our country, and I would say around the world, they stem 100% from a non-shared vision of the total populace.
Right.
I mean, the people on the bottom, people of color, people of different orientations, people of different ethnic backgrounds, their vision of those in control is not shared. Those that are in control want to stay in control, and they want to keep those not in control just that away.
So, folks, I'll let you decide who is the locust and who is the bee. And it would appear there is a vision in America, at least right now. There's a vision of unity and oneness, and there's the vision of superiority and separation.
Yeah.
Again, I'll let you decide who's the locust and who's the bee there. So here we are, folks. We've got to get behind the vision. We got to find the people that are casting the vision. We've got to find those people that are living that vision and celebrate them and respect and amplify their voices and expose their message to our friends and our families and everyone in our circles.
Yeah. And that's what we're hoping to do here, is to bring this type of actualization to the forefront. Because there are many different ways to implement this, right? There are many different parts that people can play. And if we don't understand what that is, we want to be able to highlight that so that you may find yourself in something that's said, a book that's referred to, a video clip that's shared, a mantra or affirmation that flashes on the screen, so that we can begin to find our place in that tapestry of life. I think, and somebody, I don't know, it may have been you, Robert, or somebody made a point, and I forget it, but they were loving the idea of a mosaic of life as opposed to a melting pot of life, because in a melting pot, things become homogenized. Everything gets melted down, and now it's it's just right. You can't distinguish much. But if it's a mosaic, it does the same thing. It creates a oneness. It creates a wholeness. But each piece of that mosaic keeps its own original identity, and understanding that without the mosaic, it's just a thing, right?
The whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly.
And I believe that was Terry Paul Choice on one of our shows the other day that brought that up. And because I was the guy using the term melting pot, and you're right? We want to go beyond that. We identify the vision that's pulling humanity forward. And I think, wow, this is just coming to me, but is that not one of the greatest gifts New Thought has brought humanity? Is the willingness and the understanding and the desire to follow the emerging vision wherever it might lead us. Yeah. That's one of the gifts we bring, that sense of adventure that says, I'm going to go out there on the skinniest branches possible most times, to follow that vision of a world that works for everyone, for all.
And of course, when you said that, right, I'm sitting here smiling from ear to ear, because Star Trek pops into my mind, to go boldly where no one has gone before, and the prime directive is, don't change anybody, find out how you relate.
Yep. We could probably do
now.
We could probably do a 12-week series on Star Trek and New Thought, sure.
Yes. Yes.
And I think I know a few of the perfect guests to help us with something like that.
But I'm excited about this proposal, if you will, of sometimes people get a little weary of philosophies and ideologies and religious precepts and all these things that are being presented, because they don't see it in action. Right? They show you, that sounds good. That sounds logical. Sounds like it'll work. But show me it in action. Show me where it's working.
Right.
And that's what to really move this thought called New Thought forward. One of the things is to begin to do just that, to show where it's working at the individual, small group, large group, corporation, governance, at all different levels, where it's in place, and where it's in place that is working.
Yeah, that's working. Folks, And a lot of this, I'll tell you, a lot of this conversation is growing and revealing itself out of another conversation that Rev Z and I are having about being more active in our individual ministries inside in and around the Denver metro area. Now, for most of us, I can't go that long without going out and pressing some flesh and whatever it is. It's been a long time for so many of us. We know that it's been far too long for so many to be able to get out into the community and do the work. And we're right now, we're in discussions with creating a coalition in and around the Denver metro area to get back out into the world, and as soon as we possibly can. And we're going to keep you informed of those efforts as we go here on this show and in other ways throughout the network. And we know that those opportunities are going to show up for you as well. And that's part of where we want to take this show is, again, how to help us to highlight the people that are doing this work, not just in consciousness, not just in theory, but we want you to help us highlight and amplify the voices of the people doing the work out in the world, taking these principles and demonstrating them, living them. You're going to be hearing, and again, you'll be hearing quite a bit more from us, myself and Reverend Elzia on behalf of the Center for Spiritual Living Denver, myself on behalf of New Thought Media Network, and a couple other communities we're in discussions with to really go make a difference. And we're going to invite you to be a part of that in your own communities and perhaps from afar with what we're going to do here. So be on the lookout for all that stuff. We got a great summer ahead of us, don't we, Z?
Yes. And hopefully what we do can spark someone somewhere else to do something similar or to grab the model and use it their place. I mean, because when we look around, when we look at the millions of people that are unsheltered and the millions of people who are food insecure, there is going to be a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's going to be I submit we need to be doing it from a place of love and compassion and integrity, and not out of judgment or pity or any of those things that doesn't uplift everybody involved. Because right now we know that there were people who were gainfully employed in with good incomes and good support systems that got caught up in the past years going on and events, and now they find themselves homeless or without a job or with not enough food. And so you can't pass a judgment on them. I mean, they didn't do anything but try to keep living, right? And so New Thought in action, New Thought today is about, as it says, want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. That is because if my brother goes hungry too long and he see my table too full, he might get some different ideas.
And then we're having a whole different conversation.
Another conversation. And that's preventable, right?
Yes.
I can eat half of a hamburger, if you will, and give the other half to my brother.
There are far more people on food assistance and living on the edge of food insecurity right now than ever before in our country, and there is no need for that. We live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough of everything, and we envision a world where everyone has awakened to that, and everyone that has that surplus has awakened to that. To say, wait a minute, I don't need 3 years worth of toilet paper hanging out in my bathroom. I don't need 4 friggin' years of survival food clogging up my closets. We need, and I'm using that word very specifically because I don't believe in need, but we've got to come together. There is no lack or limit to the good that is out there for everyone. New Thought today, I believe part of our new thought is that We don't have to buy into the, well, they brought that on themselves, or, well, they just, they need to pick up and move where the food is, or, well, this is, all that's bunk.
Yeah.
And we're going to start calling that out. But more importantly, we're going to call you in. We're going to call you into a collaborative partnership. We're going to call you into the relationships. We're going to call you into a way of embracing what is yours to do in this, because we're all here to serve this bigger vision in one form or another.
Yeah. And so as Robert said earlier, use that email to send in your ideas, to send in your projects, even send in people who are exemplifying New Thought today, a place where we understand that there's one thing in the universe, and that thing is God, the thing itself that is in, through, and around all things. And there's nothing where God is not in it, or not of it, or not surrounding it.
Right.
Which by definition says that we're all connected in one unified field. And so when we can begin to operate from that shared vision, that's the shared vision that we need to begin to envision. I am my brothers and sisters' keeper. I am you and you are me. And when we begin to behave in that manner and treat the person we see in front of us as another image or reflection, or however you want to term it, of me, then I can look at it a little differently. I can have a little more compassion, just like I want people to have compassion with me.
Right. I tell you, I'm excited.
Yeah.
The future looks bright. Future looks good.
And I think everybody's ready right now. Now the creative source may let us bake in the oven a little bit longer before we pop out that oven. But I just think about myself and my friends on the roller coaster we've been through. At first, it was like, okay, this is new. It'll be over. Then it got a little longer. Okay, wow, this is a little longer than I thought. Then we had those up and down blips on cases, and then the housing thing started falling, and then the unemployment came in, and food, and then we had some weather on top of that. And so now we were looking for 2021 to be a pivotal turning point, and it starts out with a crazy bang, right? January 6th, Texas is colder than Alaska, and some places it was colder than places in Russia. And so now people are beginning to get tired, physically, mentally, and emotionally tired, and beginning to think about, we got to do this a different way. I have to live my life a different way, because it is not sustainable in this environment of uncertainty.
Right. And it's not sustainable to go back to what we were doing, because what we were doing is what got us into this mess in the first place. And, okay, we don't have to call it a mess, but it's pretty messy.
Yeah. A messy situation.
Exactly. And sometimes the messy dishes are the ones that need to go back in the oven for an extra 10 minutes and help them solidify a little. We're on this evolutionary journey, right, folks? Nobody that I hang out with believes that we're on this alone. We all see that we're in it together. We all, to some degree, recognize that we have to affirm the unity even more now than ever. And and this isn't just it's all good, and hey, yeah, that's God too, and even this is a radical sense of, no, that too is my brother. And not only is that my brother, but that's me. Because if I can see it, if there's something coming up in the world that's really pushing out, then there's a piece of me that still holds that consciousness. When I don't, it's not bypassed to say that when I heal it, it won't show up again. It might show up in your life if you're not clear about it, but I don't have to keep calling these things into my life we can start today, right now, in knowing, not even affirm, but just knowing that God's got our back.
Yeah.
And the success is assured, is guaranteed when we stay true to these principles, to life, to spirituality.
You know, and I heard this. I actually read it in Sharif's book. He gives this example, and I'll paraphrase it a little bit, where he looks at a jigsaw puzzle, and he says, every piece that we need to make the perfect picture that we're looking at or envisioning when we bought this puzzle are here. Each piece is here. Each piece stands alone. Each piece can be looked at separately. I can see the eye of the bird or the tail of the fish or whatever it is I'm looking at. But it is the culmination of all of those individual pieces coming together that creates the image of that jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
And none of the pieces are mad or jealous or think that we can do without one or the other, because it takes all of the pieces to make the puzzle, to make the vision.
Yeah. We are each a piece in the vision. We're each a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. It's we're each absolutely vital.
Yeah.
If you don't know that your life is vital to this revealing vision, then come hang out with us someday. We'll remind you that you are absolutely vital to the evolution of human consciousness and the vision that's revealing itself on this planet. Of that, I am sure. No question. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And think about it this way too, Robert. It's like if you do puzzles, or if you've done puzzles in the past and you can envision it, you pick up a piece and you think you know where it goes, and you put it in that spot and it doesn't work. So you turn it and you turn it and then you flip it and then you take it back and you look again and here's you do all
you force it in there because dang it, there's no way you're not going in there. You're doing this whether you like it or not.
And eventually, through all that twisting and turning, i.e. us trying to figure out our place in the grand vision, you say, there it is. And there's no forcing, there's no pushing. It just goes plop. It just falls right into place.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And that's what we have to use as an example of the envisioning world that we're envisioning now. And each one of us individually in small groups, we have to get those together and then keep juxtaposing them to the other parts of the puzzle until we find that easy fit, logical fit.
And we end up with a table of a whole bunch of puzzles.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody, I get my little corner together. I get my piece together. I push my puzzle up against your puzzle, and now we create the mosaic.
Yeah. Because when my kids were small, we would on occasions we'd take a puzzle and put it on the dining room table, and we'd just leave it there, and somebody would come by. They had 5-10 minutes. They needed a break. They'd fiddle around. They'd put 2-3 pieces together. Boom. They'd be off back, do some homework or go play or whatever. And eventually that collective effort created one vision. And I didn't necessarily know who put the pieces together that I'd come in and say, that go right with my piece. Boom. But I know it was there and it was ready for me to use it at the moment that I needed it.
Yeah.
And that's a new thought today.
That's, I was gonna say, there it is, folks. There's new thought today. We're all puzzle makers, and we're all puzzle makers, and we're all puzzle doers, and
puzzle pieces,
and we're all pieces in another puzzle, right? We're all pieces of somebody else's puzzle too, and we're all nestled in with our local puzzles and our family. I love it. Thank you, Z. This is a good one. And thank you for watching, folks. I think we don't really watch the clock here, but we keep an eye on it, and and it's a wonderful experience every week when Spirit brings us to a point that just kind of puts the cap on it and says, okay, that's where you are. We're good. This is New Thought Today. This is a part of the New Thought Media Network. We want to thank those of you that are donating on a regular basis. If you're on one of our monthly committed giving plans, thank you so very much for making sure that we can build this community, build this society, and keep this word circulating out into the cosmos and around the planet. If today is your day to hit that donation button and share a one-time donation, well, thank you for that as well. We love you for that just as much. It's a great day to be here on the New Thought Media Network. Z, we don't have any guests planned for the next couple of weeks, but we are looking, and we do intend to bring guests onto the program again and again. So I want to put out one last pitch and one last reminder to everybody watching that we really do want to uncover the dialogues, the discussions, the organizations, and the people that are bringing New Thought alive in the world today, and we need your help to make sure we identify those folks. So if you know of a good story, a good book, a good nonprofit, somebody doing this work in and around the New Thought world, please let us know. Let's get that person featured. Let's get that organization featured here on the program. Z, before we take off for the day, any final words of wisdom or thoughts for us?
It's one that I tell my kids all the time. And I think it is the number one, and that is relationships are prime. Relationships are prime. Without them, nothing exists.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to share a couple of quick messages from our sponsors, folks. We're out of here for now. We'll see you again next Tuesday at 2 here on the New Thought Media Network. And be sure to join us later this evening, 8:15, for evening prayers. Until then, peace and blessings.